All right. This should be streaming now, hopefully, if all the tech has worked properly. Hello everyone, CMeeCraft here. Granted, as of right now, I think the audience is literally 0 people, but that's honestly fine. This is not really a stream that's made to get viewership. This is the first live stream I've done in, years. I did like a couple, like 6 or 7 years ago. So for all intents and purposes, this is my first live stream, and the reason I haven't live streamed before is just because, quite simply, I have not had internet even remotely capable of it, but I recently upgraded my internet service provider, so I figured, hey, why not give streaming a shot? And yeah, so this is my first stream here, just mostly to sort of test the waters, see if I can actually pull this off with any degree of competence, I would suppose. And so for that, we're playing a very simple game, something that hopefully shouldn't be too taxing in terms of the video feed. Long Live the Queen. It's a game I've played before. It's a game that's fun. Basically, the premise here is you've got this princess here, Elodie, on the title screen, and we're trying to, her, right there. We're going to be trying to see if we can get her to her coronation day without dying or being deposed or all manner of bad stuff. And so yeah, like I said, I've played this before, so I do kind of know what's going to be coming up, but it should be fun nonetheless. I'll be trying to play at least somewhat interestingly. Of course, this is my first live stream, so if there's any, like if I'm too loud or something or whatnot, leave some chats. I would love to know if I'm doing this poorly or if I'm doing it well. I would accept compliments as well. That would be great. But let's quit faffing about, as the Brits say, I believe, and let's get into this. Let's long live this queen. All right, we're almost home. Your room is just the way you left it. And then we, of course, have Elodie here with the ellipses, ... sad princess. I know it's hard to leave your school and all your friends, but I've arranged the best possible tutors for every subject. You'll have to work hard this year to prepare yourself before your 15th birthday, but I know you can do it. You'll learn quickly, and you'll make a wonderful queen. It's what your mother would have wanted.
This is not what Mother would have wanted. She wouldn't have wanted to die and leave me.
No, she wouldn't. But sometimes bad things happen. We have to pick up and carry on. All of Nova depends on us. On you. I will be here to guide you until your coronation, but the decisions you make are ultimately up to you. Come, your maids are waiting. Now, real quickly, there's like tutorial stuff, but I do need to take just a second here to check on something. Apologies again, first stream. Okay. So far as I can tell, everything is fine, so we are going to press onwards. Welcome to Long Live the Queen. If this is your first time playing, you should read this brief introduction to how the game works. It is not my first time playing, but for all I know, any of you wonderful 0 viewers may indeed be your first time, so we'll go through the tutorial. You will be controlling Elodie, the almost Queen of Nova, as she tries to prepare for her coronation. To do that, she needs to take classes every week in order to raise her skills. The skills she learns will provide different choices in the ongoing plot. Learning the right skills can mean the difference between life and death. You also need to keep an eye on Elodie's mood. With her mother's tragic death, Elodie is not very happy right now. The mood button will take you to the emotions screen for more details. Okay. Elodie is feeling both afraid and depressed, but her strongest emotion is depressed. If she becomes more cheerful to cancel out the depression, her strongest emotion would then be afraid. As you can of course see here, we have the emotion interface is a bunch of bipolar sliders. Anyways, I find that funny. Your mileage may vary. Elodie's current mood affects her ability to learn. It will give her a bonus to some skills and a penalty to others. Let's take a look at the skills screen now. Skills are broken into 4 main categories: social, physical, intellectual, and mystical. Inside these categories are skill sets groups of 3 related skills. You start with 0 in all skills. That's right, despite the fact I've been going to school for 14 years, I am completely worthless without a skill to my name. Every week, Elodie can study 2 skills. Normally, she earns 2 points in a skill for every weekday that she studies. So, if she studies history, she will earn 2 points times 5 days equals 10 points. Basic arithmetic. Good. Because Elodie is depressed, she has a -2 penalty to the social skill set, conversation. She doesn't feel like talking to people right now. If she studies conversation, she will earn 2 -2 points every day. That is 0 points. However, she has a +1 bonus to the expression skill set. If she studies one of the expression skills, she will earn 2 + 1 points per day, which means 3 points a day, 15 points for the week. If you study a skill you have a penalty for, you could be wasting your time and not learning much of anything. If you study a skill you have bonuses for, you will learn much faster than normal. This, of course, I know quite well, as I previously, back on the main channel, did a challenge where I tried to beat the game by only training in skills you had penalties for. It was a bit of a doozy. All of these bonuses and penalties will change when Elodie's mood changes. She can also gain bonuses to skills by studying related skills. Check the skills screen every week to see your current bonuses. Once you know your mood, skills, bonuses, and penalties, you are ready to choose your classes for the week. The classes screen breaks down skill sets by category for your morning and evening classes. When you select a skill set, the 3 options in that set appear on the right side of the screen. Choose a class option for both morning and evening classes, then click the Done button, which will appear in the lower right corner. As you play through the story, you will sometimes see feedback bubbles appearing over the text. These tell you what's happening behind the scenes. Bubbles like these will show you when Elodie's mood is being altered by events. Bubbles like these will show you when the story is changing based on what skills Elodie has learned so far. If the test fails, there is some option being missed because she doesn't have enough points in that skill yet. This feedback is very helpful in figuring out different options to try, but if you don't want to see it, you can turn the bubbles off in the Preferences menu. Now get ready to become Queen. Alright, the game proper starts. We've got Elodie here. As previously mentioned, she is very depressed at the moment. Understandable given her mother's demise and death, and, you know, it's a sad thing, quite certainly. Now we've got a whole bunch of skills we can potentially try to get her to learn. As it stands right now, she has... the only thing she gets bonuses are in just expression and animal handling. Now the question here is, what sort of princess are we trying to mold Elodie into today? I kind of like the idea of aiming more so for the intellectual skill sets. You know, I mean, these seem like, you know, if I'm looking at this set of skills and I'm thinking, okay, what is proper for a princess to have? All right, to go to mystical down here. I'm faith, I suppose a princess, especially in like a medieval type setting, probably should be more or less aligned with the faith. You know, you don't want to get excommunicated or something. Lumen, you know, I don't really need my role to be witches doing magic and stuff. That seems it seems a bit unnecessary, I'll say. We get over here to physical, you know, agility. We get dances, reflex, flexibility, some weapon skills, athletics, animal handling. And I look at those and I say, as a person, I would love to be great in terms of flexibility. I'd love to have amazing reflexes. You know, if I could wield a sword or fire a bow like I was the best in the world, yay. Is it important for the head of state to be able to do that? Am I upset by the fact that I doubt Joe Biden is very good at running and climbing? No, I'm upset about other things. Not trying to get political, he's just the current president. He's the current head of state, she's the head of state. It was the comparison I had to make here, okay? Anyways, point being, while a lot of these physical traits are certainly things worth having, I don't think they're very useful necessarily in terms of I'm the princess, I'm trying to rule this country as effectively as possible. We get to social. Under the social category, we got royal demeanor, conversation, expression, a lot of the, like the trappings of royalty, right? The ability to have a good presence, elegance, right? These are the royal demeanor especially here is like what's the term? It's like the fluff, right? The little trappings of royalty. Yeah, little fluffy things that like it enhances your royal abilities. Conversation here, this is actually going to be very important, likely. In public speaking, court manners, flattery, this is your ability to, be a good diplomat, to rally the people to your causes. Very important things for any head of state to have. I mean, arguably this skill set here is probably the most important for a politician, which, I mean, I'm a princess, basically a politician. In terms of expression, being able to sing, being able to play an instrument, being able to, have some feng shui. Forgive me, but I somehow doubt that's all that relevant, all things considered. So, yeah. But then you get to intellectual. Now we got the heavy hitters. We got history. The ability to just kind of know where your country has been, know where you want to take it. Very, very important. Intrigue, spies, ciphers, knowing what's going on in the other courts, what's going on in my vassal's courts, all this sorts of stuff. Very important. This is like the bedrock of knowing like what the world is, and this is what's going on in the world you need to know. Medicine, I'll be honest, I don't necessarily need my head of state to be an incredible, doctor. But, it could help us not die. And then economics, military, I mean, if I could sum up in 2 words what a head of state needs to be good at, it's economics and military, right? You got to keep the people fed and keep them from getting killed by the neighboring barbarians. So, that is why I most want to go for intellectual pursuits. That being said, right now our bonuses are in expression and animal handling, which, quite frankly, I view as the 2 most useless skill sets. I guess it might be relevant that I might need to ride a horse. I might need to sing, potentially. I doubt it, but maybe. So I think our game plan here is we're probably going to just get into the intellectual skills immediately, despite not having any bonuses, and just try to cheer up as quickly as possible. I think that makes a lot of sense. So let's go to classes here. What classes we want to start with? There's a good argument for history. Just get a good bedrock foundation of what's going on in the realm. Or the world, I guess. We've got world history, too. Something you said about the military, right? We don't want to get invaded and deposed in the middle of this. So I think we could split the baby, metaphorically speaking. Granted, I suppose that was always a metaphor, because it never... in the story in the Bible, it never actually comes to fruition that the baby gets split, so the whole point is it's just a thought exercise. Anyway, or a threat, really. So I think it makes sense to start off with Novan history, and... Novan history, and then we'll come down here for the evening courses, and we'll do probably a military course. And I think that... Yeah, you might think strategy. I think logistics, right? Because strategy... You can outsource that to people on the ground more easily, your generals and stuff. Logistics is by its nature more of a, high-level thing you got to be aware of, right? It's the difference between tactics and strategy almost. Now, I know logistics is can we actually feed our soldiers? Which is kind of important. As they say, an army marches on its stomach. All right, week 1 in the morning. You read about the history of your domain. Hundreds of years ago, Nova was the center of a great empire, spanning the length of the western coast as well as a few island territories. over time your influence has waned. You learn about the types and amounts of food required for an army on the march, and how long they will remain edible.
What's all that noise outside? Who's here? Oh, it's my cousins and my aunt and uncle. Darling, we were so terribly sorry to hear about your mother, Fidelia. Thank you.
You look well, niece.
Hi, Lottie. Hi, Lottie. I haven't seen you in ages. Will you be staying long? Yep, Mommy said we'd be here all month. Maybe we'll have some time to talk later.
+1 cheerful. That's what we want to see. Okay, so here we can affect Elodie's mood. As it stands, she's still depressed. I think the mood we want to go for first, probably yielding. I imagine that would give us bonuses to a lot of the intellectual skills. Because, that's how you end up learning stuff. You sit down in the class and you're like, yes, sir, I'll learn the economics. So hopefully that'll help. Now, obviously, but the first priority is just don't be depressed. Good advice for real life, too. Anyways, yielding, lonely, cheerful, that could get us where we want to go. I think that would get us to being afraid, which we can work with, probably. There's probably something we can do with afraid. We could visit Charlotte's. That makes a certain degree of sense, but we don't necessarily know how that'll affect us. Though seeing her in the first place made us happy, so it stands to reason that seeing her again might make us happy, too. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's visit Charlotte.
I love this room. It's so much bigger than mine back home. You should visit more often. It's awful that the only time I get to see you is something like this.
Don't you dare do a depression from being reminded of your mother.
I know your brother and sister are still too young, but why haven't you come to school? My mother worries about me. She doesn't think anywhere but home is safe. I understand. I'm probably not going to be allowed to leave this castle until my birthday. But at least we can have fun together here.
All right. Well then. I guess that's most successful. She is afraid now, which, on the grand scheme of things, is a fairly negative emotion, but hopefully it actually gives us some good skill boosts. No, in fact, now we have a penalty to intrigue. An agility. We could get some agility skills if we wanted, and some faith skills. But again, we're trying to be intellectual princess. So I'm not necessarily sure we want to do that. There's of course a very good argument for getting reflexes, right? If you can dodge anything, you can hopefully dodge like an arrow or a sword or magic attack or something. But I think our philosophy here is we aren't worried about the physical skills because we are going to be so on top of things mentally, intellectually, strategically, that we aren't going to get to the point where anyone's swinging a sword at us because we'll have already 5D chessed our way out of such a situation 3 months ago. That's the idea anyway. So I think we're going to stay the course in terms of learning intellectual skills. Obviously, we're not going to do any military skills this week because we have a debuff to it. I do think it's a good idea to stick with the history. We could throw in some economics, do history and economics. I think that makes sense. So let us go ahead for that. Let's learn some basic foreign affairs at least. And in terms of economics, so accounting, trade, or production. These are all very important. As the head of state, well, I think you start with production. If you don't understand fundamentally where the goods of commerce come from, then you're not going to be equipped to handle trade. And if you don't understand where the value of your nation derives from, the accounting, you have to be able to balance the books, but if you don't have an understanding of what underlies those numbers, it can be difficult to actually make any practical decisions. So, foreign affairs and production is what we're going with. You study the relationship of Nova and its nearest neighbors. The borders have been mostly peaceful in recent years, except for the problem with Ixion to the south. However, trouble may be brewing in Piraeus as well. You learn that Sunset Bay off the coast of Duchy Mazamba is a prime location for fishing. Good to know.
What's that commotion outside? Father, what's going on?
You guys getting that? Oh, jeez. My neighbor is fighting with their dog again. Lovely. Okay, hopefully that's not coming out on the microphone. My neighbors suck. They're so loud all the time. Anyways, okay. Juliana, the Duchess of Ursul. I have come to pay my respects in honor of your mother. You have no respect or honor. It's because of you and your powers that my wife is dead.
What? I am a lumen, as was she. And like every lumen, I am willing to give my life, if necessary, to protect our domain.
Your line has been traitors for 200 years. I won't have you corrupting my daughter.
That is for the crown princess to decide. Elodie, your mother trusted me, and I have much to teach you.
Okay, we can send her away, arrest her, let her stay. I mean, we've already basically decided we're not all that interested in all the Lumen stuff. So, I don't really see a benefit in letting her stay. I think we should send her away, most likely. Yeah.
You heard my father. Get out! Leave and don't come back. As you wish. I will return to my duchy until you call for me.
She won't. Alrighty. Let's take a look. We are currently depressed? No. We can't be depressed. That's not what we want. That's bad. I want to become yielding. Playing with toys potentially could get some yielding going on. Could visit Charlotte. Visiting Charlotte would probably at least get us not depressed anymore, but we'd likely still be afraid. So I think we'll play with some toys. You spend the week holed up alone in your room with your favorite toys. It's childish, but you feel a bit better. Okay, this is a new mood. I believe this is yielding. Lovely. Bonuses to royal demeanor, history, and faith. Okay. And royal demeanor is probably decent, but again, I'm trying to stick with intellectual princess. We are going to defeat this game with our minds. That's the idea anyway. Can't do weapons or lumen, but again, we're mental princess anyway. Not mental in the sense that like we're insane. We're mental in the sense that we like have a high IQ. Yeah, so I think we're going to do history. Probably grab some world history and foreign affairs, I think. I think foreign affairs might be moderately more important to get early as opposed to Novan, just because if we don't know something out Nova, we live in Nova. We've got a ton of advisors around us that are Novans, which can presumably fill us in on any gaps in our knowledge. Whereas if we don't know something with regards to foreign affairs, that's likely to come up in like diplomatic talks and stuff, where we're not going to have as friendly of people on the other side of the discussion. Like, we could embarrass ourselves by not knowing much about Nova, but I think we could get ourselves, like, actually deposed if we don't, or cause an international incident if we don't have our foreign affairs straight. So, history it is, foreign affairs, and world history. I guess world history is all, what's the difference between world history and foreign affairs? I guess world history is just going to be, like, your, like, high level, like, the Roman Empire fell in X AD, and then, you know, these kingdoms sprung up from it, and that is how we got to where we are today, whereas foreign affairs is going to be more like, oh, there's been a border dispute between the Novans and the, you know, I don't know, the Whozits for the last 30 years. It's gone back and forth, but so far there hasn't been any bloodshed over the conflict. Yeah, that seems about right. 4 years ago, the Duchess of Hellas tried to foment an insurrection in northern Ixion, just over the Galban River border. Not only did that fail, but in retaliation Ixion pushed troops into southern Marie, and they are still refusing to leave. You look at a globe of the world, reading names of places so distant you can't remember ever hearing about them, and other areas left blank because no explorer venturing there has ever returned. Interesting.
He loves me not. Lottie, do you have a boyfriend? Not really. I just like to play with the flowers. Me too.
You gather your skirts and prepare to sit down, when all of a sudden, a hissing noise alerts you to a hidden danger. A snake.
Charlotte, don't move.
You grab for... I failed reflexes. You grab for a stick to push the snake away, but you lack the skills to do the job properly, and poking the snake only makes it angry. Too fast to see, it lunges forward and sinks its fangs into your leg. Am I dead already? Am I already dead?
Ow!
The snake slithers away, but it's too late now. A strange tingling sensation begins to spread through your flesh.
That's a milk viper! They're poisonous! I don't feel good.
Your leg is going numb. You stumble and fall to the ground.
Hold on!
Your cousin kneels beside you and presses her hands over the bite mark. The area throbs painfully, then begins to feel warm. After a minute, you're dizzy, but your leg isn't buzzing anymore, and even the wound has disappeared.
How did you do that? I don't know how I do it, I just can.
Oh, don't worry, Sparks, I see your rip. Looks like we're safe. We've got a guardian angel here. My cousin's amazing. Little did she know that actually, in terms of real politics, she probably should have let me die, because then she'd actually probably be pretty close to the throne herself. But luckily, she's kinder than she is knowledgeable.
I'm not supposed to tell anybody. People think it's freaky. You won't tell, will you? Of course not. I'm just lucky you were here.
Girls, what's going on out here? I heard yelling.
Nothing. We saw a snake, but it got away.
A snake? That's it. Charlotte, pack your things. We're going back to Merva. It's not safe here.
Aw.
All right. Oh, and chat, by the way, because I see we're up to like 2 or 3 viewers instead of the 0 we had at the beginning of the stream. If you guys have any suggestions about what I should be doing, if there's anything you want to see, you can always leave it in the chat, and this is, of course, live, so we can have a real-time back and forth. Granted, the delay is pretty long, like between like 15 and 30 seconds between me playing and the stuff actually going out, so won't necessarily always see it, but I'm open to feedback if you guys want to have some direction in where we're taking this. In terms of mood, though, looks like we're on track to be afraid again. I'd rather not be afraid, all things considered. I mean, attending service would just give me a straight-up -1 afraid. Attending court, +2 yielding, +1 depressed, +1 pressured. I don't mind being yielding. It gives us a good opportunity to study history. On the flip side, I think we should keep being yielding for the time being and try to turn afraid into angry, because angry probably gets us military skill. Or maybe we should learn some medicine. That's I mean, my cousin was here, so I didn't die, but that snake bite was a bit of a wake-up call. Maybe we should learn some medicine. In case something like that happens in the future. Plus yielding, plus afraid. A lot of these increase afraid. Is there anything that gives me angry? Okay, I guess we'll just attend service. You attend services in the castle grove, letting the peace of the ritual calm your heart. Alright, still yielding. Perfect. I honestly think we can probably stick to a fairly similar regimen. Probably do Novan and world history instead of foreign affairs today, though, just so we're getting a balanced take on the history. We haven't had this tutorialized to us yet, but I've played the game before, so I'm aware that you need to get to 25 in each skill in one of these trios before you can push any one skill above 50. I'm not sure why that's not part of the tutorialization. Typically what happens is the way you learn is you, like, rocket a skill up to 50, and then the game's like, whoa, hold your horses there, you can't be doing that! Here's a ticket for speeding. Anyways, let us get some classes going then. Novan history and world history. Huzzah. Nova's history involves an endless slew of names and dates. Even as small as it's become, there are 10 dukedoms, no, 11 now, plus the royal line. You hope no one expects you to memorize every lineage. You read about the western continent, Jivar, where civilization flourished so long ago that the ancestral Novans were still living in caves. No one knows what became of them. The population vanished without a trace, leaving only their enormous stone buildings. In the distant past, the Yeveni tribes to the east rode great beasts with spines and tentacles on their heads instead of horses. The bones of these creatures are sometimes found in Lila and Mead, and their tusks are valuable to crafters. Okay, are they valuable to CMeeCrafters? Sorry, that was a bad one. You have unlocked a new outfit.
The castle seems quieter with Charlotte and Emery and Zara and their parents gone. It's certainly not empty, though. It seems like we get more servants every day.
Should we really be accepting new servants so liberally when we have had a recent, quite frankly, what seems to be an assassination attempt? I mean, snakes don't just... I mean, I guess sometimes snakes just appear, but snakes don't just appear when you're the queen, right? Typically, that's at least an indication of foul play. So what I'm saying is we should be doing stricter background checks on the servants, or perhaps even having a hiring freeze before we let more in. But whatever, apparently I'm not privy to those discussions. I haven't talked to my father. Could be fun. And we already basically have the mood we want. Yeah, why not? Why not? I mean, is it likely to make us more afraid or depressed? I hope not. I would be kind of upset at my dad if talking to him made me more depressed or afraid, but who knows? Maybe I've got daddy issues. Could be the case.
Dad, what really happened to Mom?
She was a lumen, a magic user. It was meant to be in reserve to defend our domain. But she insisted on... You don't need to hear that. She used magic. It drained her strength. She thought it was harmless, and it wasn't. Eventually, her heart just stopped. That's why I don't want you involved with it. Okay. No mood change. That is fine by me. New outfit, though. I can now have a scholar's gown. Okay, that's cute. And I believe that gives me, yes, a skill boost to history. Hooray! History is basically the only subject I know anything about, but you know what they say? Better to be a master of one, or if you're a jack of all trades, you're a master of none. And you gotta be a master of one skill. It's better than being not a master of any skills. Anyways, point being, we're going to learn more history in the classes. I almost want to double up on foreign affairs, because like I said previously, I think it might be the most important of the history branches. So let's do it. Tombula to the north underwent a peasant revolution shortly after you were born. The nobles either fled or were killed, and the new rulers have so far refused to establish official diplomatic ties with Nova. While they are not friendly, neither are they enemies, at least not yet. Southeast lies the domain of Talas, with which we have enjoyed fairly cordial relations. Sedna, their chief province, borders the Novan Duchy of Elath, and nobles from the two provinces have been known to intermarry. Okay. Elath and Sedna, that makes sense. The Duchy of Lila was not a part of the pre-imperial Nova domain, but the western range of the Yevei nomads, a faction of Yeveni who wished to settle offered their allegiance willingly to a Novan queen, and their chief was named a duke. Because the Lilans are descended from Yeveni castouts who were officially shunned, the Yeva nomads do not acknowledge that Lila even exists. They treat their western border as an invisible wall, and Novan emissaries as travelers from an impossibly distant land. Huh. Interesting approach to foreign policy. One of the maids approaches you for your attention.
Milady, couriers have arrived from the Duke of Sedna. Oh, we just learned about the Duke of Sedna. Hooray, I'm not clueless. Sedna, that's in Talas, the domain to our southeast. They have brought you a letter and a gift. Condolences on the death of, deeply regret, best wishes. Oh, what a beautiful necklace. Something sparkly will make me feel better.
Okay, I mean, at least I'm happy. That's good. I wonder if cheerful would help us with any intellectual pursuits. I don't know. Yeah, I bet pressured. Maybe we should try being pressured. That would likely get us, like, you know, being pressured to sit down in a class and learn your stuff. That makes sense. How do we get pressured? We can get one pressured by attending courts. And that is basically the only way to do it. But it also doubles our yielding. How do we get pressured? Because this is the only way we have of getting pressured, but that makes us get 2 yieldings. And the only way we get, like, willful is by sneaking out, which makes us lonely, which is the opposite of being pressured. Huh. And I think we don't mind being yielding, really, but I guess the play would be you go to court a few times until you're, like, pressured to where you want to be. Then maybe, because the way attend service works is I believe it always reduces your most extreme emotion. So if yielding is if yielding is our most extreme emotion, then attending services would make us less yielding. And then from there, maybe you do some sneak outs. It does make you double as willful as it does lonely, so I think we can use that to our advantage. Let's attend court. Sitting in on court sessions is not fun at all, but it pleases your father, and it may be important for your future. My logic is impeccable, sparks. Don't you question it, unless you want to. Who knows, you're probably right. Come to think of it, yeah, people do complain more so about being pressured, and that it's not actually useful. Oh well, yeah, I think it's gonna give us a bonus to some skills. Maybe some of them will be skills we need. Anyway, so we're still yielding. And I think it makes sense to keep pushing the history while we've got the bonus. Maybe Novan and World just to balance it out a bit. Sure. Novan history, World history. No individual may hold more than one dukedom, but nobles seek noble spouses, so titles often come together before being parceled out to their heirs. Your father is Duke of Caloris, and his brother is Duke of Mazamba. Bryn, Duchess of Halas, is the sister of Banyan, Duke of Marie, and so on. Aris, Duchess of Lila, is the mother of the Duchess of Mead, the mother-in-law of the Duke of Kigal, and the stepmother of the future Duke of Elath. People sometimes call her Nova's Eastern Queen. The Duchy of Sudbury is currently held in regency by Countess Liek of Dis for her daughter, Gwinnell, who is your age. She inherited the duchy last year upon the death of her father. You read about the northern continent, Borealis, where the first lumens in history were recorded, and how the discovery of magic shaped their development. You read about the 100-Year War, which left much of Borealis uninhabitable and created a power vacuum which would eventually be filled by the growing power of Nova. Fascinating, fascinating. Obviously, Borealis, named after, like, the Aurora Borealis.
Your Royal Highness, I would speak with you. What is it? Your mother wielded the power of a lumen, as have the kings and queens of Nova before her. Now that she is gone, that responsibility falls to you. The crystal of power is now yours. My father said I shouldn't get involved in magic. If you don't, who will defend your domain if the Krakens rise again? I have seen signs of the future. Danger is coming. I can teach you to control your powers, but first you must seize your birthright and become a lumen.
I will do it, might make us more willful. That could be useful. Not that I actually intend to do it, but I'll do it!
How do I do that? You must find the royal crystal. Speak to your father. He will know where it is.
Alrighty. I could speak to my father. Or I could ignore that and get... Wait, is afraid my strongest? No. Oh, attending service doesn't affect afraid? Or it doesn't affect yielding? Maybe it affects like the leftmost first? I thought it always affected your most extreme emotion. Mildly annoying. Okay, actually maybe I should talk to my father, because then I could probably get more willful if I talk to my father.
Dad, what happened to Mom's lumen crystal?
It's in a safe place.
Can I have it?
No.
But it's mine!
Meddling with magic killed your mother. I don't want that to happen to you. Once you're crowned queen, I can't stop you from doing anything you want. But for now, you are still a child. Okay, I got a bit more willful. But I'm still yielding, which is good. Okay. I really need to find a way to get pressured without becoming more yielding. It's tough. That is for certain. Regardless, we're still yielding, so we might as well learn some more history. So we get a 2.7. So... either way, we're going to close to maxing these out. I think it would make the most sense to get Novan History and Foreign Affairs. I think those two tend to be the most, like, immediately relevant, as opposed to World History, which is cool, but also the fact that there was, like, a famine on a continent 1,000 years ago. Yeah, I'm not quite sure that has a huge effect on modern-day geopolitics. Then again, who knows? Maybe there's some people in this world that are like Putin and they're like, we are invading the Ukraine because back in the year 800 AD, the Kievan Rus was the center of Russian civilization. And as such, it is only right that Kiev is returned to the people, the Russian people, to whom are her brothers. Anyways, people could be like that in this world. Who can say? Alright, morning. The last two rulers before your mother, Queen Fidelia, were your grandmother, Queen Ladesh, and her father, King Fulbert. About 60 years ago, the Duchess of Merva died with no close heirs, and King Fulbert claimed the lands for the keeping of the crown. After your mother took the throne, she recreated the duchy and made her brother, your uncle, its duke. Okay. Over the mountains to the northeast lie the deserts of the Pieris tribes, who are traditionally hostile to Nova, but too lacking in resources to mount a credible threat. Small groups of Pyrian raiders are sometimes found in Kagal and Sudbury. The domain of Tarax, far to the south, has warred with Ixion on and off for centuries. Even when both were part of the Novan Empire, your grandmother assisted the Ixionites in putting down the last disagreement 32 years ago. The island domain of Malini was once a small outpost of the Novan Empire, but was simply forgotten about in the chaos 600 years ago. They were so pleased to have gained their independence without violence that they have remained a strong trade partner to this day. And that can often happen. And heck, we being the United States, I'm an American in case you haven't figured that out yet. We even had a violent parting with Britain, but look at what good friends we are now. As you are walking up the stairs, a maid comes running down holding a towering pile of linen. Before you can react, she barrels into you, sending you and the sheets flying. Well then.
Oh, my lady, I'm so sorry.
I could apologize or punish her. You dare to disrespect your queen? Well, I guess I'm not I'm not crowned queen yet. But I might, like, in a certain technical sense, maybe kind of be the queen. I mean, I'm queen with a regent, I suppose. You will be punished. How dare you? What do you think you're doing? I'll be flogged for this.
Yes, my lady.
You gotta treat with your people harshly. Could visit Celine. I still want to get pressured. To be under pressure. Pushing down on me, pushing down on you, and I don't know the rest of the song. I know a lot of choruses. As for actual songs, not really, no. I mean, I want to get more pressure, but I don't want double yielding from it. Because, quite frankly, yielding is almost useless to us at this point. Like, we are almost done with Novan history, so we really do need to pivot moods. Maybe this will give us something useful.
My father says I can't have the crystal until I'm queen. He's hiding it somewhere. What do I do? I will search for it.
She brings out a black bowl filled with water and stares into its depths. You look as well, but you see nothing but your own reflection.
The crystal is kept in the treasury, under guard. They have been ordered to keep you out. You must find a way past this obstacle.
Like what?
Use your skills to convince them to stand aside, or else dispose of them.
What?
Their lives are a small price to pay for the safety of your domain. You must have that crystal.
Is she serious? She wants me to kill my own guards?
Try to reach the crystal. If you fail, speak to me again, and I will help you do what needs to be done.
Still yielding. This needs to be the last week we're yielding, because we are nearly maxed out on history. I am the buffest historian there is. Like, you think you're a history buff? I'm a history buff with, like, jacked forearms and whatnot. I don't know. I've got six-pack abs. And strong, firm back muscles. Or whatever. Not much of a musclehead, typically. But yeah, I mean, in terms of classes, definitely gonna want probably Novan and World History. And that'll basically max us out, and then we're gonna have to pivot to something else next week. But for now, finishing off history seems like a decent enough prospect. About 200 years ago, a great black cloud formed over Nova, bringing cold and sickness. The sun could not shine, and the air was gritty and foul-smelling. Many people died, including the queen at the time, and most of the high nobility, before the cloud finally dissipated. Now I wonder, was it a literal cloud or a metaphorical cloud? Was it the cloud of disease hanging over the realm, or was it literally just like a giant cursed cloud? Because one of those, well, I mean, actually both of those are terrifying. Arguably, I would argue the cloud, like the literal cloud, is probably less so. Just because a disease can actually, happen. Until about 600 years ago, the capital of Nova was on the shores of Cathray Lake in southern Caloris. After that became uninhabitable, a new capital was built here on Lampsea Island. It was the chaos of that period which triggered the eventual collapse of the empire. The most famous ruler of ancient Nova was King Latimer. According to the history text, he began the policy of gathering light, which led to the predominance of the empire. Unfortunately, the texts don't explain what exactly that policy was. There's a reference, but that volume is missing. The policy of gathering light. He switched us to solar power, that's what it was. That was the cure-all. Good. Look, Sparks, I can understand your concern that Elodie is turning into a bit of a sociopath. However, I would ask of you, have you looked around at world leaders? They're all sociopaths. It just comes with the territory. You have nothing more to learn about Novan history. Borealis now is mostly made up of tiny domains containing no more than a few village-like settlements, each officially ruled over by shamanic lumens. They have a few resources and live primarily from the sea. You read a brief history of the rise and fall of the Novan Empire. There was a time where it seemed likely that Nova would grow to cover the entire world, but it all came apart. The Novan Empire once had outposts on the western continent, but was driven out 600 years ago. The most important domain in that area today is Shangia. There is a man here to see you. He wishes crown funding for a project of his. Remember, the treasury is not unlimited. If you choose to invest, you will have less money to work with later. Your Royal Highness, I have a plan to print books using metal letters, which can be moved and reused. I need to borrow 875 lassi to assemble the metal and a factory to mold and cast the type. With this system, we will be able to create new books in a fraction of the time it takes now, and make copies to send all over the world. I don't know much about factories or trade. Would that really be worthwhile? This invention, it's never been invented historically, so how useful can it be? History is my only reference for anything, and if it never existed in history, it must be bad. That's right, we're playing Elodie as an ultra-conservative. Not conservative in, like, the U.S. politics, just conservative as in, like, she hangs on to traditions and whatnot. Why do you think we're studying so much history? We are not interested. Though, actually, come to think of it, technically speaking, the invention of the actual printing press was kind of... Now, granted, I'm not a historian, so don't quote me with any authority on this, but my understanding is that the invention of the actual printing press was actually opposed by the conservative forces of the day. The conservative forces in this case being like the Catholic Church and whatnot, because, it allows dissonant ideas to be spread around at unprecedented paces. It's kind of similar to what the internet is doing in the modern day, honestly. Just kind of turned up to not really even 11, like 11D, which would be 110. There's a fun fact for you. 11D equals 110. Don't ask me how. Okay, we need to stop being yielding. Being afraid isn't much better. Okay, I could get too willful and lonely, but that would leave me at being afraid. Is there a way to get -1 afraid? I could get more lonely and cheerful. Visiting the treasury might get me like a bit of willfulness and anger. If it gives me willfulness and anger, that would make me depressed, which is also useless to me. Quite frankly, I don't think we have a way to get a good mood this turn. So we should just do whatever we think will be the best, which set us up for next round, and I think visiting the treasury is it. You try to talk your way past the treasury guards, but despite eyelash fluttering, foot stomping, and outright threats, they won't budge. Alrighty. We are now depressed. Which gives us bonuses to animal handling and expression. The most useless stats in the whole game. I guess... What mood are we going for? And probably our next mood we're going to get is probably going to be angry or willful. I imagine those moods... And granted, I've played this game before, so I've seen what the moods do, but obviously I have other things to dedicate my long-term memory to, so I don't remember exactly what every mood does. As I recall, I think willful and angry give bonuses into things like military and intrigue. So it would make sense while we don't have any relevant bonuses to work on other things that aren't military and intrigue. And I think Medicine, either medicine or economics. I'd say we'll go for medicine first. Because we just had and failed our economics check. And just from my gameplay perspective, like reading what the designers might do gameplay-wise, I would imagine it's likely if we just failed an economics check, we're probably not going to have another one for a little while. So, we'll double up on medicine. What does cheerfulness help? Good question, Sparking Sparks. I don't recall exactly. I think conversation has helped. And I believe athletics has helped. I don't have a clue if any of the intellectual things are helped. If I don't, just none of these really strike as the sort of things like, I'm happy and cheerful, I'm ready to learn military strategy because I'm beaming with joy. So certainly we can try being happy, like give happiness a little bit of a shot, and maybe we'll get something useful. And that probably wouldn't be the most difficult thing to get up there. Though we'll probably end up angry next turn, just because I think that'll be the easiest thing to make happen. For now, though, medicine. I almost want to double it. Well, battlefield and poison, probably? What does herbs relate to? Knowledge of helpful and harmful plants. And that could be useful. But I think we'll start with the foundation of battlefield, medicine, and poison. Those will likely be more helpful to us more immediately. I don't need to learn about, like, basil and stuff. We learned the wound, the wound. You learned that wounds, even minor ones, should be washed as soon as possible to prevent dirt from growing under the skin. Dirt from that's not accurate, is it? Dirt doesn't grow. It's inanimate. And you can get infected. Maybe that's what it's in reference to, just a more primitive understanding of infection and disease. The first treatment for most ingested poisons is to purge the stomach by forcing the victim to eat powdered charcoal, which can absorb dangerous substances. Good to know. Your Highness, my sympathies for your loss. Even after all these years, I sometimes forget that my own mother will never be coming back. Oops, I skipped it. Whoops. Do I have a way to go back to that? Is there a log? I don't see a log. Or can I... Okay, I can scroll wheel. Great. Sorry, yes. Thank you. However, I must call for your aid. The Exionite occupation of the county of Imbrium has gone on for too long. Now is the time to push back. His sister, the Duchess of Halas, started trouble in Ixion 4 years ago, so they invaded his territory as payback. Yeah, I would not want a garden growing under my skin. Sparking Sparks. You know, that reminds me, back when I was a child, I had this very traumatic experience. I was running around in, like, the backyard, and I came across some mushrooms. And, you know, being a kid, I was like, oh, cool, mushrooms, I'm gonna kick it! And so I kicked the mushrooms. And then, I guess the mushrooms are more or less mature at this point. So a bunch of spores just erupted out of the mushrooms. And I was terrified for the next, like, month. Since I had probably inhaled some of the spores, I was, like, terrified that I had mushrooms growing inside me for, like, a month. It was arguably a first world problem, but also quite traumatizing. So much so that I remember it now, like, oh, sheesh, must be like 18 years later. Anyway, back to the game. We have plenty of troops, so it shouldn't be that hard to drive them out if we want to make a fight of it. Alright, we can negotiate or prepare for battle. Neither are really my strong suits. Right, we don't have much in the way of conversational skills. Additionally, we took literally one class of logistics, and that is the extent of our battle experience. But we could maybe make up for that. We've got some time. And I'm just trying to think. So with regards to the negotiations, we know the background of the situation. But does that help us get to an outcome that benefits us? Right? Because the information we have here is, oh yeah, it's my own vassal's fault that things are bad. So the only way we can really leverage that information is by forcing our vassal to make concessions. Which is obviously not great and probably won't go over very well. I mean, she seemed pretty confident we could win militarily, so we got a military. Let's use it.
Well, if they want to fight, then we'll give it to them. I will arrange for troops to be sent to your aid.
Thank you, Your Highness. Your Highness, if I may ask, that necklace you're wearing, where did it come from?
It was a gift from the Duke of Sedna.
Then you have made arrangements with him?
What sort of arrangements?
Your Highness, that is a courting gift. The man wishes to gain your hand in marriage.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Alright. Alright, things are looking decent. As it stands right now, we'd be depressed. If we visit the treasury, we'll become angry. Presuming the same effect happens again. And I think that's probably what we want. Anger will definitely help us militarily. Hopefully. You try to talk your way past the treasury guards, but despite eyelash fluttering, foot stomping, and outright threats, they won't budge. Ooh, I'm angry. You don't like me when I'm hungry. Angry, I mean. That is a reference, of course, to the Incredible Hulk film from like 2008 that no one remembers exists, despite the fact that it was like, you know, one of the building blocks of the arguably most successful film franchise of all time. Who would have thought? Anyways. Okay, we get bonuses in military and weapons. Luckily, military is what I want to train right now. I was hoping anger would be slightly more useful. Granted, I guess I don't really do my best thinking when I'm angry either. And we are trying to be intellectual princess. So, I think if we've got battle coming up like right away, let's get some strategy classes in. I think we'd probably just double up on strategy. Yeah. Maybe we'll learn a few tactical things we can do to swing the fight in our favor. We'll see. You study the strengths and weaknesses of different weapons and battle formations. You study the effects of battle stress on troops and how morale can turn the tide of combat. You study military recruitment and the importance of training and motivation in making soldiers who can trust and depend on each other. You receive a report on the outcome of the battle against the X units. Oh, I wasn't even personally leading it. Well, hope it turned out alright. You succeeded in driving them out of Marie, but it cost you about 3/4 of a battalion of soldiers and a great deal of material. Or materiel, sorry, materiel. You lost 875 soldiers. I mean, it's sad, but, I mean, what is my current military size in the first place? Because if I lost 875 soldiers out of, like, 20,000, that's one thing. If I lost 875 soldiers out of 3,000, that is very different. Duke of Marie will be happy, but we could have done better. Okay, apparently I'm cementing myself as an angry person. Oh, I can talk to my father. I don't particularly want to change my mood immediately. Yeah, why not?
Dad, if this trouble with Ixion started years ago, why didn't Mom fix it?
Your mother told the Duke of Marie and the Duchess of Hellas that it was their problem and they should sort it out themselves. You, on the other hand, of course, are a total pushover that decided to engage the army when just some guy came and asked you nicely to. It's all about picking your battles, dear.
Oh. Should I have done that?
The situation is different now. Everyone on all sides wishes to see what sort of queen is coming to the throne.
Everyone is judging me.
No, I don't want to be yielding. I do want to be pressured, though. Yeah, bring on the pressure. Still angry. It's a righteous anger for all the lives needlessly lost. I mean, doubling up on military is that's what we're doing. I think we'll do one class naval strategy, one class logistics. Because you can have all the best strategy and tactics in the world, but if you can't get your soldiers fed, then you don't have an army. You learn that the sea is not something you hold, it is something you travel across. Naval strategy ensures your free travel while denying it to your enemies. You study the kinds of equipment that soldiers need available, such as bedding, weapons, armor, medicine, bandages, and the tools to repair anything damaged. Okay. There are reports that a key thong has been sighted leaving the Old Forest.
The Old Forest? That's the area by Cathay Lake, where the capital was, until it was abandoned. What's a key thong?
A beast with the body of an enormous gold cat, a sharp beak, and spikes on its back.
Eek!
Several disappearances in southern Colores are already thought to be the work of this creature.
What do we do? Should we send hunters?
The traditional policy on stray beasts is to hope that they return to the forest and stay there. Hunters are no match for such creatures. It would only make it angry and waste more lives.
So we just let it eat people?
Everyone dies in the end. Oh, I'm depressed. Also, there's a letter for you.
Talaris, the Duke of Sedna, will be arriving next week for an official visit.
Interesting. Okay. We could become pressured pretty easily, I think. There's going to be a way. I just need to figure out what it is. If we do one more visit to the treasury, and then attend services to reduce anger, we'll be pressured, and we can see what that gets us. Yada, yada, yada. We try getting into the treasury. It fails miserably because, of course, we aren't actually trying to get into the treasury. We just like berating the guards. She is becoming a truly cruel queen under my watch. I'm not sure if that says something about me. Hopefully not. Anyways, classes. I think you've got to do naval strategy so you can get it up to the next level. And you know what? Give me another level of logistics. I maintain that as queen, I feel like an understanding of logistics is going to serve me better than an understanding of strategy. Leave the strategy to the generals. I deal with the logistics. You study different kinds of ships, their names, designs, and the number of crew needed for each. You study different kinds of ships, their speed, maneuverability, and standard complement of weapons. You learn about the requirement for all civilized sailors to rescue the crew of a sinking ship, even an enemy. You have unlocked a new outfit. You study different kinds of transport, animals, wagons, sledges? Never heard that before. Ships, boats, and boots. Are we sure it's not sleighs? Sledges? Chat, do you know what the sledge is? If not, look it up and tell me. I would be curious. You learn about the support costs created by support. The more equipment you have, the more people and animals are needed to move them. And then those people and animals also need to be fed and equipped. It's kind of like the spaceship dilemma of like, you want a lot of fuel on your rocket ship so you can like go far into space, but the more fuel you put in your rocket ship, the heavier your rocket ship is. So the more fuel you actually need to get it the same distance. It's an old efficiency problem. And by old, I mean from roughly the 60s. Well, I mean, technically they've been doing rocketry since before the 60s, but the 60s was like the golden age of rocketry, okay? Get off my back. You learn about the difficulty of obtaining new supplies from the field. Enemy civilians may hide or destroy supplies rather than let them fall into your hands, and friendly civilians may not stay friendly if robbed. Ah, Your Highness, what a pleasure it is to meet you in person at last. Your description did not do you justice.
I don't know how to deal with handsome older men paying me compliments.
I was so pleased to hear that you have accepted my humble offering, a jewel for a jewel, but you are the more precious. I hope that this is only the beginning of a mutually beneficial relationship. A union between us would bring stability to both our peoples.
Oh, see you later, Sparking Sparks. Glad to have you with us. The VOD will... VOD video on demand. Should hopefully be on the channel if you'd want to catch up later. But thanks for being around. Alright, where were we? Yes, stability to both of our peoples.
He really does want to marry me.
Okay, so, as we've gone over, it's actually pretty normal for the dukes of, or the nobility in, like, the Sedna region to intermarry with the Nova nobility. And it could be useful. I mean, he's a duke, we're a queen, that's close enough in terms of rank for him to be useful to us. Presuming he's not in it to take advantage... Sorry, got a bunch of notifications on my phone. Sounded like I had an alarm going on. Anyways, that completely derailed my train of thought. What I was saying is that there is a danger with him being so much more our senior. Like, here, if we go back here, we can actually look at him. So he's 26, and that's actually not that old, really. And yeah, we're 14, so it is a 12-year age gap. But quite frankly... for the time period, that actually isn't that crazy. It's a two-way street. It's a double-edged sword, right? On the one hand, he's more experienced. He could be a more useful partner geopolitically. On the other hand, he could be trying to take advantage of us. You know what? Why not? Why not? I mean, this is medieval times. Royal marriages between the nobility to secure alliances. It's like what you do. And besides, I think our Elodie has already shown that she is not the sort to be pushed around easily. So I don't think we need to worry too much about him completely overpowering us in this marriage. So we will accept his offer.
I would be honored.
Elodie! Your Grace, are you not aware that my daughter has only 14 summers?
It's my decision.
A betrothal only, of course. There's no need. But hurry, you have your coronation to plan after all. I might be of service in any way. Please send for me. I'll be happy to offer my protection or advice.
Well, good to see Dad's looking out for me, but... oh, sheesh, why am I so angry? What did I do to get so angry? Alright, we gotta bring the anger down, so we'll probably attend services this week, and likely next week, and quite possibly the week after. Is there a faster way to do this? What's the opposite of angry? Afraid. I could become lonely and afraid, but I don't want to be lonely, because I'm trying to become pressured. Willful and angry, that just doubles down on what I'm already have going on. Alright, let's attend services. You attend the services in the castle grove, letting the peace of the ritual calm your heart. Alright, we got a new outfit! The uniform! Boost military. Awesome. Now then. What are we gonna do? We're still angry, so it makes sense to do more military. I say probably strategy and logistics. I think we'll probably be angry for like 2 more turns. So that will likely get us about max on military. And then we can move on to something else. You learn about how units reinforce each other in the field, gaining strength through proximity and the covering of weaknesses. You study the effects of different kinds of battle terrain for both offense and defense. You may now tour the barracks on the weekends. Okay. You study how to determine when to jettison or destroy excess goods for speed, and how to avoid overreaching. You learn about how to calculate enemy war preparations based on the movement of goods within their lands. Armies do not spring up full-formed overnight. You are requested to stand in judgment. A woman has been convicted of attempted murder and requests the mercy of the crown. Your Highness, this Slattern dares to beg pardon when she admits that she tried to poison my sister under her own roof.
Which sister?
Corazon, the Duchess of Maid.
His other full sister is the wife of the Duke of Kagal, and his mother is the Duchess of Lila. Family ties are complicated.
Okay, so we got like the whole east arrayed here.
Is she alright?
She is unarmed. We got the culprit in the kitchens before anyone could eat her foul spew.
Oh, what do you have to say for yourself? It's just as it is. Them devils killed me brother and broke my mom's heart. Lied to her, they did. Or when they went to see why he'd not come back, said he'd gone for a soldier, when he never would. He weren't the only one neither. I waited 10 years for my chance to get me own back. That's justice.
You see, she's completely unrepentant. I ain't gonna be done with it.
I don't know what this is all about. Either way, murder is a serious crime, but...
I mean... could execute her. It would be a good show of strength, I suppose. That's kind of what we've been doing a lot of. Execute her!
As she's clearly guilty, her life is forfeit. She'll be hanged in public as a deterrent to other criminals.
You'll not have me! All of a sudden, she breaks loose from her guards and rushes at you. In your court dress, you are unarmed. You grope for a weapon and find only a heavy golden ornament, which you hurl in her direction. Your missile flies wide off its mark. Or flies wide of its mark. Before you have a chance to do anything else, your personal guards step into action, cutting the woman down before she can endanger you. Her lifeless body lies bleeding on your carpets.
Get that out of here. Put it on display so that everyone sees what happens to criminals.
Well then. Oh, less willful plus pressured? Oh man, I'm still so angry! Oh, relax, Elodie. Alright, I think we gotta attend services again. You attend services in the castle grove, letting the peace of the ritual calm your heart. Alrighty. I think we gotta go for probably naval strategy and logistics today. We don't have much more in terms of stuff we can learn about the military, so hopefully we can stop being so angry soon. Breathe, Aldi. Breathe. You learn about the challenges to naval warfare posed by unpredictable weather, as well as the dangers of sailing too close to an unknown coastline. You learn about the use of ships in transporting ground soldiers between locations. You study the benefits of looting as troop motivator versus the negative effects on civilian populations. You learn to calculate how effective military strength wanes over distance from a home position, as it becomes more difficult to put pieces into play. So don't overextend yourself. As you are walking one day in the gardens, you hear a strange sound and look up to see an owl flying overhead. A single dry leaf flutters in its talons. That's funny. I thought owls were nocturnal. Guess I was wrong. When you return to the castle, your father is waiting for you.
There is a woman here to see you. She wishes crown funding for a project.
Thank you for seeing me, Your Royal Highness. I come on behalf of the people. I wish to build a hospital where any citizen afflicted with disease can be brought for treatment. Putting all the sick people together? Wouldn't that make them die even faster? We are not interested.
Okay, not investing in medical technology either. We are a somewhat backwards kingdom, but a proud one nonetheless. I think depressed and afraid. I mean, I don't really want to be depressed, actually. Okay. To the service. You attend services in the Castle Grove, letting the peace of the ritual calm your heart. Ready? So we're basically maxed out on logistics, so this will be strategy and naval strategy, and next turn, we should get some new stuff, hopefully. Naval strategy and strategy, let's go. You study the power of ranged weapons, from arrows to thrown fire and sand, and how the threat of such attacks can shift the enemy's response. You study the use of cavalry in battle, as well as the costs and benefits of traveling with large animals. You study the effects of a strong hierarchy on military organization and the ability of troops to respond to changing situations. Communication across an army can be difficult. Disrupted signals can lead to chaos. You study the cost, time, and materials required to construct new ships. You study blockades, both setting them and breaking them. You study the effect of cannons against coastal installations, such as enemy docks and seaside villages.
Remember that the Festival of the Good Lady is approaching. There will be public celebrations for the commoners, followed by a grand gala for the nobility.
A grand ball. There will be dancing, and I suck at dancing.
As queen, you'd be expected to lead the procession and take part in the ceremonial planting, possibly give a speech. However, since you are not yet crowned, it is not required, and it may not be safe to expose you to the public.
What do you mean, not safe?
Outside of the castle, you are less well protected, if anyone means you harm. Think on it now, decide later.
Will the Duke of Sedna attend the gala?
It is a traditional Novan event. Inviting your fiancé might be seen as a statement.
A statement, you say, but is it a statement I want to make? What does the statement mean? Well, I suppose it would be flexing and showing my favor for him. Demonstrating that, hey, nobles, don't get any ideas. I'm already out here forging alliances with the neighboring duchies and kingdoms. Not to mention, here's an interesting thing. Tolerist is a much more experienced noble and politician than I am. It's plausible that in inviting him, I could potentially cover some of my weaknesses with regards to conversation. That's an idea, for sure. Definitely an idea. Let's give it a shot. Now, the downside here is... Well, what is the downside? I guess he could badmouth me, but he doesn't really have an interest in that, does he? Right? Because he's going to be married to me. We're kind of going to be a package deal, right? At least at this stage, he does not have any motivation to undermine me, right? Because he wants to see me on the throne so we can, like, you know, get married, all that good stuff, and hopefully, you know, once I'm safely on the throne and stuff, and, you know, maybe we have some children and stuff, then, you know, maybe he starts having his own plots of like, ooh, I will be the real power behind the throne. But for now, right, it's in his interest to help me get myself there. So let's do it.
If I'm going to bury him, it's a statement I had to send.
As you wish. There's a letter for you as well.
It's from Bione. I went to school with her, but she's a couple years older than me. Her mother is the Duchess of Mead. She's complaining that her mother still won't let her come home for the holidays. Apparently Uncle Kevin has been acting strangely lately and shouting at shadows. She's bored and looking for an adventure. Well, I don't have any to suggest to her.
Okay. If I go to the barracks, I'll get -1 willful, +1 pressured. I think that's what I want. And I might actually learn how many soldiers I actually have. You are impressed by the discipline of the Novan troops, but the responsibility for their lives weighs heavily on your shoulders. There are approximately 9 battalions, 1 company, and 1 platoon under your direct command. Okay. I wish I had studied more about military hierarchy because I don't know how many people that is. Would I be correct in thinking battalion is roughly 1,000, company is roughly 100, and platoon is like 10 to 20? That sounds about right to me. Oh, jeez. That's not a fun face. But it's a new emotion. I am now pressured. Bonuses to athletics and faith. A swing and a miss! Oh man, I've been trying to get this to happen for so long too. Well, I am trying to be intellectual princess, so while I don't have any bonuses, let's carry on with the battlefield medicine. Double up on that. You learn that blood loss wastes life energy. Bleeding should be stopped through bandages, pressure, and elevation. You learn that minor burns should be cooled, washed, and gently wrapped to keep them clean like a cut. Major burns and scalding, such as boiling oils, are untreatable on the battlefield. Today is the procession and planting for the Festival of the Good Lady. Will you be leading the parade? If you have any concerns about your safety, please stay here. The people will recover from disappointment. If we lose you, there is no recovery. I certainly shouldn't make a speech. And I don't have any particular talents that'll make this good. But the people should see their monarch at such events, even if I'm not particularly impressive. I think, just a kind of meh showing is better for the people to see than just wondering, where's the queen at? Why is she not at one of our big celebrations of the year? So I will lead the parade.
I'm not afraid. I'm going to be the best parade leader ever.
My little girl.
You prepare your best gown for the occasion, then walk slowly through the town with your attendants. It would not be appropriate for you to wear a sword, but you do walk with sturdy golden scepter that's taller than you are. I just realized I think my stream is slightly off in terms of resolution. Like I think Okay, can I center this, please? Okay, it is apparently 1 pixel off center, but that's okay in my book. Now you can see the whole screen and the bottom isn't getting chopped off. The joy of streaming and having to make those changes live. We'll do it live. Anyways, you prepare your best... Oh, I already read that. At the end of the route, you help the priestesses turn over the earth for the new tree to be planted. Then the new life is blessed, and all the attendants join in song. The procession regroups to return to the castle. Alrighty. I am quite pressured, and actually I would like to be not pressured now. Willful and lonely? Yeah, maybe cheerful is actually what I need to learn medicine. How do I get happy? Lonely and cheerful? I'd still be pressured. And I can be pressured for one more day. It's not bad. Yes, hello, Firecaster. Or Fire... Fierce Star, the cat. I am live for the very first time. Congratulations for stumbling upon the stream that I didn't advertise at all. Not that you're not supposed to be here. I'm perfectly fine with viewers, but I didn't advertise it much because I assumed a bunch of stuff was probably going to go wrong because, again, first live stream in like 6 or 7 years. So, in terms of what we're going to be doing here, I do think we want to get the pressure down. I want to try getting cheerful up. Maybe that will help us. And I think the best way to do that is by walking in the gardens. A walk in the fresh air helps you forget the burdens on your shoulders. Still pressured, that's fine. We can basically do... We can do herbs and poison. Try to get towards outfit territory. Herbs and poison. Herbs or herbs. Figure it out. You learn that willow bark can be used to relieve aches and fever. Certain poisons will counteract each other, such that either on their own will kill the victim, but carefully applying a matching amount of the other will cure. Are you ready for the grand ball? All the nobles in the domain are here to see you, to see their queen. I wonder, was the military garb the best choice? It sends a message. Is it the message I want to send, though? We'll see. You finish dressing and descend the stairs to make a grand entrance. All around, the rich and powerful pause in their activities to gaze upon you, the ruler of them all. Seeing yourself reflected in so many eyes makes you want to run away and hide. After a moment, you force yourself to carry on, but you're sure they've all seen you hesitate. Your father waits for you at the bottom of the stairs and offers you his arm. The first dance is for us. He guides you gently around the dance floor, never rushing you. It's fun to dance with your father, but the look in his eyes is so sad. I believe the next turn is mine. He bows gracefully and offers you his hand, then leans close to whisper a quick question. Do you know how to dance? Nod or shake your head. I will shake my head. I have not done a single dance class in my entire life as queen. You shake your head slightly, your hair swaying. Watch me, I'll go slowly. Luckily, as the woman in this case, I can, the man leads, as it were. Granted, I'm not particularly trained in dancing, so for all I know, that could be a very misleading statement. I'm not meaning to diss all the female dancers out there. I'm sure you guys work very, very hard and are, very focused and concentrated. I was just making a joke, okay? Don't, light me on fire in the town square. I was just making a joke. Dancing with a real partner feels quite different from dancing with your father, especially when the man in front of you is the one you have agreed to marry. His touch is gentle, his every move carefully signaled to be sure that you don't miss the beat. Is this what your marriage will be like? Between the dances, there's time for the guests to mingle, chat, and sample tiny bites of exquisite food. During a lull in the music, of course I failed court manners and flattery, social events aren't really my thing. My thing is more so history textbooks, the battlefield, and occasionally a surgical room. What a princess I am. Anyways, during a lull in the music, Banyan, the Duke of Marie, taps an elegant fingernail against the wine glass, letting the clear note ring out throughout the room.
If I might have your attention, I believe we should offer our compliments to our lovely hostess. Her bravery and courage keep our borders defended. Everyone applauds politely. As the gala continues, you take the opportunity to observe nobles that you rarely see. There's Gwenelle, for instance, the young lady of Sudbury, only months older than you, and due to finally inherit control of her duchy soon. Or Adele, the youngest daughter of the Duchess of Lila, and a fierce sportswoman. She was a few years ahead of you at school, and the absolute terror of the ball fields. No Brioni, she had said her parents were leaving her stuck at school this season. Her parents are here, dancing together, the Duke Consort clutching his Duchess possessively tight. Strange that there's no sign of your cousins, though. Shouldn't they be here? Your aunt and uncle are here, of course. It would be scandalous if they hadn't come, Merva being so close by. It's nice to be able to enjoy time with friends and family, isn't it? As the evening grows late, your personal guest draws you aside for a private conversation. You have my most fulsome thanks for the invitation to this event. However, you might wish to spend more time with the scribes before corresponding in writing with other nobles. Oh, hold on, what? You just insulted my penmanship? Oh. Some may not appreciate your unique sense of phrasing. Wonderful, I sound like an idiot. It is always the greatest of pleasures for me to be in your presence. I look forward to the day when we will no longer have to part. Indeed, my good fiancé. I'm so pressured. Why is it whenever I want to lower a mood, tons of events happen that increase that mood? Okay, entering the barracks could be less willful and no, more pressured and less willful. That's not good. Lonely and afraid. Don't really need to be afraid. Lonely, yielding, and cheerful. That will actually get me cheerful. That would be useful. I think I'd rather do lonely and cheerful because I think willful will likely be more useful to us going forward than yielding. So let's not bring willful down, and we'll be lonely and cheerful. A walk in the fresh air helps you forget the burdens on your shoulders. Oh, I'm so happy! Okay, finally, I'm happy. Conversation and athletics. What gives us bonuses to medicine? And what mood have we not been yet? Lonely? Maybe that's what we need to be, lonely. I guess that makes a certain amount of sense. Lonely, diving into the books. Well, in any case. Technically, I probably should do, like, conversation. But as we've already gone over, I am an intellectual princess. I will do the intellectuals, so I will learn some more medicine. I will learn herbs and battlefield medicine. You learn that feverfew can be used to reduce tension and headaches. You learn that oil of cloves rubbed on the skin can relieve pain, particularly in teeth. You have unlocked a new outfit. You learn that soldiers should never sleep in damp clothes or on damp ground. This is unhealthy. You learn that latrines, food waste, and burials must be kept far away from living soldiers to avoid spreading disease. Holes should be dug deep and covered after use. You wander downstairs to visit your father and talk about the latest events in the domain. You're moving with such enthusiasm that you don't realize your father isn't alone until it's too late to avoid him and his companion. You are too kind, Jocelyn. Countess Siren, not a member of your circles. She's a bit more than a decade your senior. Far too old to have ever been your friend, and yet not at all old as noblewomen go. She has 2 minor titles, no husband, and your father's arm in her grasp. How dare she make a move on your father? I don't think we would succeed at any of those. I'm not good with words. I don't have good, like, flexibility and reflexes, and I have no presence to speak of. I'm such a nerd. And at least if we insult her, we're talking to her, which might be seen as less rude.
Good afternoon, Countess. My, what large breasts you have! Putting them on display for any particular reason?
Elodie!
Really, my dear, it's not polite to comment on a lady's attributes like that.
25. The woman courting my father is 1 year younger than the man I'm betrothed to. You know, I didn't have necessarily a problem with the engagement on principle. However, when you put it that way, it's not great.
But you are young. You will grow. Perhaps we'll be seeing more of each other in the future.
She gives a little wave and exits. Once she's gone, you raise an eyebrow at your father. This is a path that you have set us on.
What do you mean?
Your acts have made everyone think about preparations for the future. Colores needs an heir. My brother, your uncle Armand, is looking for a wife as well. One of us at least must produce more children.
But, Mama...
Nothing can ever replace your mother. But we all have to do things that we don't want to do. You should be careful about how you deal with people like Surin. You need the goodwill of your nobles as well as your commoners.
Haven't had any problems so far.
As queen, you must be aware of everything around you.
I am paying attention to what's around me.
I could visit Celine. Yeah, we're not really going down that road. Hey, okay, I'm pressured again. Lovely. Lonely and afraid would keep me cheerful. Depressed and afraid would make me pressured. I think I would be lonely and afraid, honestly. Willful and lonely? But I don't really want willful to go up that high, do I? If I'm trying to become lonely. We'll explore the castle. You wander through the parts of the castle where other people rarely visit, but find little except spiderwebs. Yuck. I'm happy. A nurse's gown. Oh, that's cute. I think that makes sense to where I don't think... Normally have, or it seems we normally have a pretty good, like we aren't sprung with military things on us suddenly. So, yeah, that should be fine. Whereas something like a medicine thing probably would be the sort of thing to get sprung on us suddenly. Okay. Let us... I think more battlefield medicine and some poison. I think those two are the most likely to be of help. Because I'm a monarch, I could very well be poisoned. I'm a monarch, I may be leading troops in battle. So, let's do it. If a victim is stabbed with the poisoned spine of a sea urchin, the spine must be removed carefully and the affected area soaked in very hot water in order to cook out the poison. It is possible to become immune to the venom of a particular snake by routinely ingesting very small amounts. However, this protection is temporary and will not provide any help against other snakes. You learn that some wounds need to be sewn closed. The needle should first be cleaned by holding it in a flame for a minute or two. Fire should not be applied to the wound. It will make it worse. You learn that piercing arrows should never be pushed through the body. That will make the injury worse. Cut very carefully with a sharp blade to dig the arrowhead out without causing large tears in the flesh. It is the time of year to decide any necessary adjustments to the royal budget. I don't know much about economics, do I? The majority of the money we receive is already spoken for, but there is always room for some discretion.
I don't know anything about budgets.
We could raise the taxes, we could lower the taxes. Lowering the taxes will obviously make it so we have less money to work with. However, lowering the taxes will likely give us some goodwill. Now, with whom the goodwill is with is questionable, right? It could be goodwill with just the people, or it could be like we're taxing our vassals less, in which case the nobility might have some more goodwill. Or it could be both, right? Depending on how our realm structures its tax system. Raising taxes, likewise, will give us some more resources to work with, but will probably cause some amount of unrest. But since we have more money, we could potentially fund a bigger army to quell any unrest that were to come up. I think on the whole, it's really tough to make this decision without really having a feel for the people on the situation on the ground. Oh, hello there. The Cat in the Cone? I hope I got that right. The Cat in the Cone. So Cat in the Cone wants me to raise taxes. Fierce Star, the cat, lots of cat-themed names here, is arguing that public opinion is important. I do agree with that, right? And especially as a new ruler, you can really make an argument either way, right? Yeah, I'm in moments of transition are going to be the most delicate parts of someone's rule. Now the question is, do you want to deal with that delicacy by having the most resources at your disposal to be able to bring to bear on any issues that crop up, or do you want to make the issues less likely to crop up by lowering the taxes and having less unrest in the first place? I think you can go either way with this. I would... Oh. My apologies. Okay, anyways. We will raise the taxes. And we're already rolling with the Iron Fist anyways. Let's get more gold to add to that fist.
We need more money. Raise the taxes a bit.
As you wish. Okay. Our mood is pretty even. If we were to do our Lonely and Afraid thing, that would actually make us afraid. I don't really want to be afraid. I think actually maybe we sneak out. That'd give it us willfulness. We haven't done willful yet. Surely that's got to help us with something, right? You sneak out of the castle to have a little fun. You enjoy your freedom, but your father won't like it if he finds out. Alrighty. I'm willful, which gives you bonuses to intrigue, military, and lumen. Well, we've basically maxed out military, but intrigue we can certainly do some stuff with. I think we'll start off just a basic course of internal affairs and foreign intelligence. Let's learn what's going on. Internal affairs, foreign intelligence. Until you have children of your own, your maternal uncle, the Duke of Merva, is next in line for the crown, and after him would be his daughter, your cousin, Charlotte. The current Duke of Sedna is 26 years old and unmarried. He might be considered a good marriage prospect for you if you desire stronger ties with the domain of Talas. You are requested to stand in judgment. A man has been convicted of the murder by strangling of his wife. He does not deny the act, but requests a pardon that he might be set free.
If you admit you killed your wife, why do you think I'm going to set you free?
Save me, your majesty. Wasn't my fault. Demons made me do it. Everyone knows the power of magical beasties. They used me. They twisted my fingers into chains. My wife found me screaming. She tried to shake me and the chains wrapped around her. I need the priestesses to bless me and make me clean again.
Demons that make you attack people? Is that even possible?
And last time we had a prison, we executed her. Though, she did try to kill us. Don't know why don't have these people, like, locked up a bit more effectively before we go about to executing them. And if he really is possessed by demons, what are we getting into if we do execute him? Not to mention, I don't want to be more... Well, do I want to be more angry? I might. I don't know. Like, the last time we executed someone, it almost went really badly. So I think today will be the rare day where Elodie will show a bit of mercy. We will pardon this man.
I'm very sorry for your loss. The monsters are responsible, not you. Don't blame yourself. The priestess of the Royal Grove will take care of purifying you.
Bless you, your majesty.
Okay, we're just purely willful. We could get a yielding, depressed, pressured. That would make us depressed. I don't want to be depressed. Yielding, lonely, cheerful. That's actually more in line with what we would like. We'll play with toys. You spend the weekend holed up alone in your room with your favorite toys. It's childish, but you feel a bit better. Okay. And we're still willful, so I think we're going to continue along the intrigue route. Probably do more internal affairs and foreign intelligence. Your maternal uncle's wife, the Countess Nyx, claims kinship to the old Merva line, and originally asked your mother for the title to the duchy. However, no one could verify her lineage. As a compromise, your mother created her brother, Duke of Merva. The last Duke of Mead was the older half-brother of the current Duchess. His reign was brief and highly scandalous. He defied tradition to pledge himself as the life mate of the old Duke of Ursul, then broke that off only a year later. He retired into seclusion and died still unwed. Okay, yeah, we'll get some ciphering, don't you worry. We have to get ciphering next turn if we want to keep down the intrigue route, otherwise we're going to get maxed out anyway. Ciphering is really cool. It's something I like dabbling in a bit in real life. The domain of Shanjia, across the sea to the west, has been steadily increasing in size and now controls a wide range of coastline as well as most of the navigable rivers. The political disruption in Tombul in recent years has caused a disruption in the chocolate production, which is to the benefit of Nova, particularly the Duchy of Kagal.
Milady, there's a letter for you. Who sent this? It isn't signed.
It appears to be a poem describing you in a manner that is entirely inappropriate for a queen.
Wait, what? With a squid?
Ah, I am not familiar with that cipher. I'll have to look it up later. Alright, that's hilarious. That's terrible. Do I want to be angry? I think I kind of want to be angry. At least a bit.
Who writes this garbage?
Just then, an incredibly unlucky breeze swirls between the windows of your tower bedroom, tugging the paper out of your hands and off into the sky. You stick your head out the window to discover the poem caught and fluttering on the roof nearby. You can almost reach it. Let's see if... okay, so I can either ignore it and potentially... I don't know, some will see it and scandal will ensue. Or I can climb out and grab it and die, because I have zero skill of climbing. So we'll ignore it. What's the worst that can happen? It blows off and someone reads it and laughs at you. That's better than breaking your neck. Besides, if you're lucky, it will rain and wash the words away. She was not lucky. Okay, I think we can explore the castle, get a bit more lonely and afraid. You wander through the parts of the castle where other people rarely visit, but find little except spiderwebs. Yuck. Still willful. So yeah, this will be our ciphering week. Here we go. You practice reading words whose letters have been arranged in reverse order, the simplest of transpositions which anyone literate can puzzle through if they try. But sometimes useful tied information thugging in plain sight. Fair enough. You practice shifting substitution ciphers where each letter is replaced by one a few steps further along the alphabet, so that cake and pie becomes yeah. You practice random substitution ciphers, where the normal alphabet is replaced by one in jumbled order. This is harder to decode, but most people need a written substitution chart to read or write it, and that chart can be lost or stolen. You practice complex transposition ciphers, where messages are written down in columns or lines, and then reorganized into scrambled words. This means that both an encoded and plain text written copy exist, which can be insecure. You've unlocked a new outfit. I regret to inform you that Fabian, the Earl of Titan and Duke Regent of Elath, has passed away. This isn't really a surprise, he was pretty old. The problem is the political implications. Ah, yes, the Caesar cipher. Yes, that's one of the ones that, or close to one of the ones that just described, yeah? I know I've heard of that one before. It's one of the more simple ones. It's been a while, though. With the control of Elath in doubt, it falls to the crown to make decisions. Young Lord Adair will not reach his 15th birthday for over 2 years. He requires a regent. His stepmother, Aris, the Duchess of Lila, has petitioned that the boy be left in her care. This would, however, leave her in personal control of 2 neighboring duchies, which is generally forbidden. Not to mention that she's closely related to the Duchess of Mead and the Duke of Cagal. She could control almost the entire eastern half of Nova. People already call her Nova's other queen. I don't know anything really bad about her, though. The boy does have a living grandfather, the Earl of Ishtar, or you might appoint an unrelated noble to act in his stead. I mean, we clearly can't leave him with a Reese. Sending him to my uncle could be good. I mean, it's a bit of a power play, honestly. Making that particular duchy firmly, within, crown influence. But again, it's a bit of a power play, and the nobles might not be happy to see me so flagrantly seizing power from my own family. So, I mean, honestly, grandfather's probably the best middle ground here. The Earl of Ishtar is the closest blood relation that Adair has. He should be regent.
As you wish.
Okay, we are nearly lonely. Become slightly more lonely and afraid. Sounds good to me. You wander through the parts of the castle where other people rarely visit, but find little except spiderwebs. Yuck. Oh, the Ave Maria side. That sounds interesting. I always love the more creative ones. I had at one point for a project I was working on, I made and who knows, this might have already existed, but I made my own custom cipher thing where there was a code word that you had to know, and then the code word had certain letters in it, and basically what you did is like, it was just a whole bunch of jumbled text, but the letters in the code word indicated the, so like, for example, a B would be a 2, and that would mean if there was a B in the code word, that means in the actual message you would need to, like, every other letter would be in the actual message. But of course I didn't have like B's, I had like Y's and X's and whatnot. So it was like much wider things, and the rest of the message was just noise. Again, I don't know if that's a thing people already did, but that's what I did, and it was fun. Okay, my new outfit though. A cat suit boosts intrigue. Do I want to boost intrigue or medicine right now? I think probably intrigue for now, and maybe medicine later. Anyways, what do I get for being lonely? Conversation and medicine! Huzzah! Okay, I guess we should probably get... Herbs just seem so much less useful than Battlefield and Poison, so I think we're going to do Battlefield and Poison, and then we'll let herbs catch up later. You learn that broken bones should be immobilized with wooden splints to prevent them from moving around. The straight wood will encourage the bone to grow straight. You learn about situations where a crushed or rotten limb must be removed in order to save the rest of the body. A blow to the chest may create a sucking wound, which stops the patient from breathing. A special wax bandage is needed to keep air from passing through the wound. Ooh, that sounds rough. You have nothing more to learn about battlefield medicine. Cinnabar dust causes tremors, anxiety, and eventually death if ingested over a long term. This is mostly a problem for miners, but it can be dangerous if it is routinely added to someone's food. There is no cure, but most will slowly recover if they have no more dust. The herb tansy is a mild poison with particular effect on lower forms of life. Rubbed on the skin, it repels insects. Drunk as a tea, it drives out worms from the stomach. Unfortunately, this sometimes makes people very ill. Belladonna berries are purple, juicy looking, and sweet. Eating a handful of them causes blindness, followed by death. It can be treated very carefully with a paste of calabar beans, which is also poisonous. There's a woman here to see you. She is a musician and wishes crown patronage. Which means money. Your Royal Highness, if you accept me as a member of your court, I will immortalize you in word and song. I have dabbled in musical styles for many countries and can entertain your guests and lighten your evenings. Immortalizing words? What if she wrote that filthy poem? Musicians are often used as secret agents and messengers. They can be useful and dangerous. The musician sings a little ditty to demonstrate her skills with the lute. She's actually pretty good. Instrument and voice failed. Could we accept her as like our own personal spy? That could be fun. Very well, you can remain as part of the court. I will do my best for you. I honestly probably don't want to stay lonely for long. Probably one more turn of being lonely. If I take it down one level, I should remain the same mood, so we'll do that. We will tour the barracks. You are impressed by the discipline of the Novan troops, but the responsibility for their lives weighs heavily on your shoulders. There are approximately 9 battalions, 1 company, and 1 platoon under your direct command. Still lonely. Okay. Yeah, we might actually max out the intellectual stats pretty quickly. Or practically max them out. I don't think there's much value in going from like 86 military to 100 necessarily. And if there's like a military check that we have like advanced warning of, then sure, we can bring it up the rest of the way, but for now, I don't think that's really all that necessary. I guess we'll do poison and then another thing of herbs. And quite frankly, this might be the last thing of herbs we do. I just don't see herbs coming up that much. Like, we're running out sage. It's like, I mean, it's an herb. Granted, I'm learning herbs, so I shouldn't be surprised, but the point is there's not, like, much to do with it. Sage has a variety of health benefits. It keeps meat from spoiling, aids digestion, improves thinking, and may even help to bring color back into gray hair. Calendula flowers can be used in soothing teas as well as skin lotions. It is also said to provide visions of one's secret enemies, if worn under the light of a full moon. Comfrey can be used to help mend broken bones, however it is also slightly poisonous in large amounts and should not be eaten. The flower, known as Black Sun, creates a poison which induces violent madness in the victim. In larger doses, it produces the same results as belladonna. The foxglove flower is a dangerous poison. Chewing the leaves or drinking water in which they have been soaked is likely to be fatal. Symptoms include dizziness and yellowed vision. Powdered epistomite is the only known antidote. Oh, really? Arsenic, eh? What's the... Because that's not the thing that people always get, freak out about when, politicians get sent mysterious powder in the mail. It's, what is it? I forget. It's something else that they always, it could be... Fill in the blank. The words that are coming to me right now, though. The purple flower, known as woman's bane, is a dangerous poison with no antidote. Touching it causes the body to go cold, then numb, then die within hours. A rapid charcoal purge may sometimes save the victim. Why is it woman's bane and not just, people's bane? You have nothing more to learn about poison. Ricin, is ricin the thing that they always freak out about? Or am I completely off base? You receive a letter from young Lord Adair. It is an extremely formal letter for such a little boy, thanking you for your wisdom in allowing him to live with his grandfather, who probably dictated every word he wrote. Okay, well, good to see that's working. Alright, I no longer want to be lonely. I want to switch back to being willful so we can learn some more ciphers and intrigue and stuff. In order to do that, we could sneak out. +1 willful, +1 angry. That would do it. It wouldn't bring willful, ridiculously high. To the dungeons! You sneak a peek at some of the luckless peasants held in the dungeons. Petty thieves and troublemakers, now suffering in the dark. They're obviously bad people, but seeing them so miserable still feels unfair. There must be a better way. Okay. So, to be clear, we're willful, so we get our intrigue bonus back. Have we ever gotten a bonus in economics? I don't think we have. Mildly annoying. Okay. For intrigue, I think let's do internal affairs and ciphering. The Duke of Marie has paid suit to the Duchess of Ursel to no avail. The Duchess's brother is opposed as he will inherit if she dies childless. Your agents suspect the Duchess of Ursel is actually more interested in the Duchess of Hellas. Neither has ever been linked to a man. Countess Liek of Dis married the old Duke of Sudbury, who was more than twice her age, then divorced him as soon as she'd borne him an heir in order to be free to marry another. It was considered shockingly rude by the general nobility, but the old Duke apparently had no objection. The Countess of Dis is now married to the disinherited third sibling of the Duke of Marie, and the Duchess of Hellas, currently, both... Wait. Oh, okay. He's the sibling of the Duke of Marie, who is currently the Duchess of Hellas. Hold on. The Countess of Dis is now married to the disinherited third sibling of the Duke of Marie, and... Okay. The sibling But the person the Countess is married to is a sibling of both the Duke of Murray and the Duchess of Alas. Gotcha. Currently, both Duke and Duchess are unwed. If either dies without an heir, a title may still pass to the Countess' husband. You practice adding code to your ciphers. That is, replacing words with other words such as handle for Duke before changing the letters in the message. You memorize special cipher alphabets where each letter is replaced by a symbol. Once these are memorized, you will not need to write down cipher sheets, and if the symbols do not look like letters, they can be hidden in decorations. You study an ancient book that has a list of thousands of words and pictograms for each of them. In the past, these were used for important messages, but only trained bards could effectively memorize enough symbols to handle the codes efficiently. Staring up into the sky out your window, you notice a strange flash of light.
A falling star. Pretty.
Okay, apparently I'm now cheerful. I would like to be slightly less cheerful. Well, that'll do it. You attend services in the castle grove, letting the peace of the ritual calm your heart. Alrighty. Still willful, still up for intrigue. Let's actually do internal affairs and ciphering again, and then we'll do foreign intelligence next time. Several generations back, the rulers of Elath and Sedna in neighboring Talas married. The citizens of Elath objected to this foreign influence, and the resulting heir died in suspicious circumstances, after which the title was passed to a distant branch of the family rather than another child of the Elath-Sedna union. There were many dark rumors that the second husband of the Duchess of Lila, possibly because he was a commoner. It was whispered that he once assaulted the young Duchess of Elath before her untimely marriage and demise. After years of marriage and 3 children, the Duchess of Lila divorced her second husband and refused to say why. Shortly afterwards, he was found dead in a nearby forest. The Duchess of Lila and her son, the Earl of Yo, and that can't be an L because it's a proper noun, the Earl of Yo, have been estranged ever since. The Earl of Yo now lives with his sister, the Duchess of Mead. You'd think if you were an Earl, you wouldn't really have to? Yeah, there is a lot of lore in this game. And I'm not even taking the lore classes. You learn to manipulate special boxes and jewelry with secret compartments to hide messages, where few have locks almost as complicated as the ciphers themselves. You learn that the more you use a code, the easier it is for enemies to break it. The most secure cipher is one that is only used for a single message. You learn to use special code wheels to create rotating ciphers, which can only be decoded with another matching set of code wheels. Like IO? EO? I don't know. You have nothing more to learn about ciphering.
What a beautiful day. It's nice to stop and breathe sometimes.
That was suspiciously normal. Calm before the storm, perhaps. What shall we do? And I think I want to stay willful for like 1 more week. And then maybe we switch. I'm trying to think. I think we've been every mood. And I don't think any of them helped with economics. Willful hurts economics, so I want to get off willful. Maybe on to cheerful. But yeah. You attend services in the castle grove, letting the peace of the ritual calm your hearts. Alright, so last willful class will be double of foreign intelligence. Since their recent revolution, the Tombulans have twice begun gathering troops on the Novan border. Both times, their camps were struck by fierce storms and earthquakes, and they decided to give up on the idea. Pirates are once again operating out of Orcus, although they are currently sticking to the northern seas and no threat to Nova. However, if they turn to slave raids, the Borealans may be quite vulnerable. Agents who have visited Borealis report that all known Lumen shamans seem to have no magical powers at all, and perform their ritual displays with show and trickery. Rumor has it that the mother and older sister of the last Duchess of Elath were assassinated 20 years ago by agents from Sedna, which is why she, as sole remaining heir, was married off so young. Rumor has it that the Prince of Tarax was humiliated by the public disillusion of his betrothal to an heiress after she declared him a coward. The Queen of Shandia is wedded to a non-noble, a court musician whom she initially took as a consort, barring any offspring from inheriting the throne. She has since passed new laws to give not only their children but also the man himself an equal claim to the crown. Rumor has it that the King of Shandia has become the true power behind the throne, and that he may also have the powers of Lumen. He is a controversial figure within the domain, but ministers who speak against him have been known to disappear. Fascinating. Almost a coup d'etat. You have nothing more to learn about foreign intelligence.
Milady, there are letters for you. Another letter from Brione. Why does she keep writing me? We were never even friends. She says she's bored and lonely, and she's looking forward to seeing me at Gwenelle's birthday party. That's right, Gwenelle is about to turn 15. She'll be Duchess of Sudbury for real now. This other letter must be my invitation to her birthday celebration next week. Gwenelle and I were friends at school, and this will be a big event, but it's also a long way to travel. A lot of things can happen on the road.
I mean, it's a risk, that's for sure. Yeah, there could be bandits, assassins, mercenaries. I could eat some poisoned mushrooms that some idiot in the caravan decided to whisk up for me. But again, though, as the Sovereign, it will serve me well to show up at events, so people actually, know that I'm, make my presence known, advance my interests, that sort of thing. So I think I will go to the party.
It'll be good to see my friends.
And that got me cheerful, which is good, because I want to be cheerful anyway. I'd love to be slightly less willful. Maybe yielding? Yielding, depressed, pressured? That actually would balance me out quite nicely. Sitting in on court sessions is not fun at all, but it pleases your father, and it may be important for your future. Well then. I think... Well, let's take a look. We're happy now. Cheerful. Which gives me boosts to conversation and athletics. I say... Let's start going down the economics route. Get some accounting and stuff. Simultaneously, let's get some conversation going. Actually, we're going to a social function. And yes, I know flattery and conversation is outside our intellectual wheelhouse, but simultaneously, we're almost done with intellectual stuff, so it's about time we start branching out. And I think conversation is the next thing to get. We might actually, since we're going to a party, let's just double up on court manners. No, let's double up on flattery. This will likely be a less formal affair, since it's just a kid's birthday party. Well, I say kid's birthday party. It's a Duchess coming of age party, which is probably at least somewhat formal, but we'll stick with flattery. You learn that it's important to make eye contact when saying nice things about someone. You learn that flattering comments have best impact when kept short. Gushing makes people feel awkward. You learn that it is always better to compliment people for their personality and their choices rather than their physical attributes. On your journey to Sudbury, your carriage is attacked by bandits. Well, a lot can happen on the road. I have failed my archery and reflexes test. You look down in shock at the arrow which has buried itself in your side. Outside, you can hear screams and curses, but it feels unreal. Your world is centered around pain. Yeah, this doesn't bode well. That's for certain. We did learn, like, how to treat arrow wounds in our medicine class, though, so maybe that'll help us? You know that trying to push the arrow through will only make matters worse, so you have to bear the pain and wait patiently until someone can help you. Unfortunately, staying calm is easier said than done. Your panic screams attract more arrows and soon your pain is ended? What? No! No! Ah! You just had to sit there and wait for treatment, Elodie. Dang it. I knew how to treat arrow wounds and I died from arrows. Ain't that something? Elodie did not survive to reach her coronation. Nova would have to go on without her. But it doesn't have to end this way. Make different choices, train different skills, and Elodie's star may rise again. Well then. Ouch. I can just rewind. Maybe I shouldn't go there. That being said, actually, here, I will... Do I have another... Yeah, give me another page. I'll save the game here, in case I want to do something later. Hold on. If I am going to save the game, I should do so slightly earlier. Ooh, that's as far back as I can rewind. Okay, never mind. No saving and avoiding that death. Oh well. Yeah, regardless, I probably should be about done anyway. I've streamed for a couple hours now. That should be enough to get an idea of if this setup is working out or not. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, this was a bit different than normal, but I hope it was a fun experience nonetheless. We can go to the title screen, why not? And yeah. And if you did have any issues with the stream, anything you want to be improved upon, if the audio seems off or the video's annoying or something, anything really. If I'm just annoying you personally, then, you know, leave some comments or chats or whatever. But I think that'll do it for today's stream. When will I next stream again? Don't know. I think this went pretty well, so hopefully fairly soon. And if we do stream again, it'll probably be on a game that we have a bit more history with on the channel. You know, maybe like a Do Not Feed the Monkeys growing up or something, were some ideas I had potentially. If you have any preferences with regards to that, you know, leave some comments or chats or what have you. But yeah. I didn't want to... I figured this stream could end up having, you know, a fair bit of like technical issues and stuff. So far that doesn't really seem to be the case, but I'll definitely watch over the VOD and see if it was up to my standards personally. But yeah, I didn't want to like do like the next season of Growing Up and then have it be ruined by the stream not working properly or something. So that's why I figured low risk. We'll do a quick game of Long Live the Queen first. Get our feet underneath us, and maybe next time we'll do something a bit more ambitious. But anyways, guys, until next time, I have been CMeeCraft, and I will catch you in the next video, or perhaps stream. Goodbye.